It begins with Peter, a social media strategist living in Los Angeles. He's at a Christmas photo shoot where his colleague asks him if he's going for the party, and he says he's going with his roommate Nick and his boyfriend. He is surprised as Peter is perpetually single. As Peter prepares for the party, his best friend, Nick, gets home with his lovable dog named Emmett. Nick is a handyman who does gigs on the TaskRabbit app. Peter tells him he needs to get ready for the party, but he says he's tired and he can go with his boyfriend instead. But Peter tells him that his boyfriend will come in late. Nick agrees and they go. Peter's handsome boyfriend arrives late at the party. He's a cardiologist named Tim. As Peter and Tim are talking alone, Peter takes a picture of the plants. Tim says that Peter surely loves plants. Peter tells him he dreams of opening a plant store. Peter says he's happy he's going home for Christmas, since he is not the single one this time. Peter invites Tim to join him. Tim kisses him, and he says he'll go. But then he gets an urgent call from the hospital and has to leave. Nick is helping a woman put up her Christmas lights, and she says her husband has come home and it's Tim. Peter gets on the phone with Tim, asks him why he didn't tell him about his marriage, and they break up. Heartbroken and embarrassed, Peter vents to Nick, who comforts him with his usual calm demeanor as he's packing to leave. Desperate to avoid another holiday filled with pity and meddling, Peter hatches a plan and asks Nick if he can come to his parents' place in New Hampshire for Christmas and pretend that they are dating. Nick is not up to it. Peter tells him that he doesn't want him to be alone for Christmas. Nick says the tickets are expensive because he has to book them a day before they leave. But Peter tells him that he got a lot of money from the children's book he written about his dog Emmett, and convinces him to come for the trip. Peter's mom, Carol, greets them as they reach home. She tells him that she's glad he didn't get a boyfriend since she set him up on a blind date. Nick encourages him to go on the date. Peter is not happy, as Nick completely trashed their agreement of having a fake relationship to show his family. Peter's dad, Harold, greets Peter and tells him their pipe is broken. Nick volunteers to fix it. Harold and Nick get to it. He finally agrees to go on the blind date. Peter tells Nick that he's upset that he bailed on the agreement they had. Nick says he didn't want to lie. Peter's entire family gets home. Peter's sister, Lisa, and her husband, Tony, and their two daughters, Sophia and Danny. Ashley, her husband, and their two boys, Sam and Simon. As the family is discussing the Christmas play that their Aunt Sandy conducts, she walks in and greets everyone. When Carol says Peter is going on a blind date she planned, the entire family is excited. Next morning, Nick wakes Peter up for his date. Peter goes to his mom's spin class, and she introduces him to her trainer, James. James is hot, and they leave for their date. Peter asks him how's he staying there, as it's a small town, and there are barely any gay people there. He says he's there 'cause he's teaching skiing nearby, so it's convenient. They have a fun date, and Peter sees an ad for Christmas trees, and he decides to take one home for his family. James helps him to get it on the car. At home, Nick is witnessing Peter's family wrapping gifts for Christmas. Nick goes to the department store to pick up some wine, as they're all out. Peter goes to pick some wine too after his date, and he meets Nick there. Peter tells Nick that his date went well, but he is getting wine because he's taking a Christmas tree home, and his mom might be upset about it. Peter is home and putting up the Christmas tree. His mom gets there and is surprised and asks Peter what's going on. Peter tells her that his date went well, and James helped him pick out this Christmas tree. Peter then gets a text from James asking him if he wants to ski tomorrow. Peter's dad asks Nick if he can help him move the old Christmas tree down to the basement. In the basement, Peter's dad, Harold, asks Nick if he's okay with Peter going on dates, since he always thought they would end up together. Nick says that if Peter is happy, he's happy. Harold says that Nick was the first person Peter introduced to the family who actually meant something to him, and he's happiest when he's with him. Nick says they never seen him with any of his boyfriends. Harold says that his relationships have not lasted that long, but he has been there for a long time. Nick says that's because he is his best friend. Harold says that even Carol, his wife, is his best friend. Lisa's two daughters say that they agree with him and that they should be together. Peter wears an old jacket for his ski date and is not sure about that choice. Nick enters in after his shower and tells Peter that if James is going to judge him for his fashion choice, he should not go out with him later, but he should go now. Peter checks out Nick as he walks. Nick goes to the play rehearsal of the kids and enjoys Aunt Sandy's antics. The girls send Peter selfies with Nick as he's on his date. On his date with James, Peter and him were talking about how Nick and Peter met. Peter tells James the funny story of how they met at a gym, lying that they were a family to get the family discount. James asks Peter if anything happened between them, but Peter says nothing at all. Peter says he is missing his family, and his family wants him to come back to his hometown. He says he's thinking about it as well. Nick is reading his book to Ashley's youngest son, Sam, who asks him where is his Uncle Peter in the book, as he thinks they were married. Nick tells him they are not married. James and Peter kiss, and James asks Peter if he wants to do something more and continue the date. Peter says yes at first, but he sees a picture of Nick with the kids and realizes he needs to spend time with his family. So he asks James to drop him. When Peter gets home, Nick asks him about his date. Peter says it was awesome and begins telling me about it. The girls see them talking cutely from the window and say they are so in love. The entire family comes to the window, and some of them agree, while his mother says he's just into James. Peter tells Nick that he is planning to stay there because he wants to be with his family, but he's confused as he feels going out with James is reducing his family time. Nick is shocked that he is actually thinking about moving there and tells him that he might really like James because that's a big step. Peter says that there are many things that he likes in New Hampshire, and his flat and car in LA is overpriced. The only thing he likes in LA is Nick. Nick says he'll miss him a lot. Aunt Sandy gets home and tells the family that the play is horrible. Lisa gets an idea of asking Nick and Peter to work on the play together so that they can get closer. Lisa goes to talk to Aunt Sandy and ask her if Nick and Peter can help her with the play. She agrees. Peter and Nick begin to help Aunt Sandy with the play. They talk to the kids and help them to make the sets, as Peter and Nick are helping Sam to remember his line. Peter gets a call from his boss saying that the entire campaign that he worked on was scrapped, and he needs to send in a new campaign with new photos soon. His dad gives him an idea to use Nick as a model. Peter gets to work with Nick's help, and Peter shoots cute pictures of Nick for his campaign. Nick shoots some pictures of Peter as well. As they are having a cute moment, Peter gets a text from James asking him to come out for drinks. Peter says he'll say no, since he needs to spend time with his family, but Nick forces him to go, saying that he's been with his family all day. Peter agrees and leaves. Nick has begun writing his new book and gets a notification on TaskRabbit stating that someone needs help with decorations. The girls see Nick go out and ask him where he's going. He tells them he's going to help someone put up decorations, and Nick's gone for drinks with James. They're not happy hearing this, and they call Lisa, who owns a bar, to tell her to ruin the date. Lisa is game and tells them that she will get it done. Peter is talking about Nick on his date with James, and he tells him that he surely talks a lot about his best friend, but it's cute. Lisa comes in with their order and drops it on James and blames Peter for distracting her. The girls go to Nick as he is putting up someone else's decorations and ask him to confess that he is in love with Peter. He finally tells them the truth, that he does love Peter, and they are overjoyed. As Peter and James are returning from the date, Peter tells James that his family has always linked Nick and him together, and James tells him maybe they're right, but Peter says that they have always been best friends. Peter gets a message from his boss saying Nick's and his pictures are right on point for the campaign, and he wants more. Peter asks James to pose for some pictures, and he sends them over to his boss. Peter thanks James as he's walking him home. James reaches his place and invites Peter to come over. Peter says yes initially, but then says that he needs to help the girls with the play and leaves. When Peter comes home, he notices the girls are asleep in his bed, so he goes to Nick's bed to sleep, and they have a cute moment. Next morning, the girls tell Lisa and Carol that Nick and Peter like their outfit, but it's kind of too much, so Peter says that he'll help them with their outfit. As Peter is helping the girls with their costumes, he tells them when they go for the parade in Hollywood, they can wear whatever they want. So the girls ask Peter if he's not moving here with James, because he has feelings for Nick. Peter says Nick wouldn't want to move here, but the girls tell him that Nick would have Peter and his entire family. The girls push Peter to admit that he has feelings for Nick. Peter says he loves Nick, and he did in the past as well, but he can't risk losing Nick if it didn't work out between them. But the girls ask him that if it did work out, he says it'd be perfect, and he would be really happy. The girls and Peter break into a cute Christmas dance. Nick, Sam, and Simon join in and dance with them. Sophia tells Nick that Peter feels for him as well, and Nick's face lights up. The family's Christmas show finally takes center stage. They all watch the play together. Nick and Peter watch the play from the special seats. James sees them being cute together. The play is a big hit. After the play, Peter and Nick are talking about how good it went. Peter thanks Nick for helping with it. Nick tells Peter that he loves him. As Nick leans in for a kiss, Peter hesitates and says he can't lose him as a friend. And what if it doesn't work out? Nick asks him if he wants to give it a try, but Peter says he doesn't know and just wants to move back to New Hampshire. Nick is taken aback. Just then James enters. He shows Peter that the campaign he clicked their pictures for is going viral. James says they should celebrate, and they plan to go for a drink. Nick says he'll join them later and leaves. Nick goes home and packs his stuff, while Peter is having a drink with James. James tells Peter that he's got 10,000 new followers in 2 hours because of the campaign. Peter tells him to move to LA, where the social media game is the strongest, and he can become a celebrity trainer in months. James tells Peter that he previously said that he wants to move here, and by saying that James should move to LA, he's saying that they are not a match. James then reminds Peter that Nick and him have an undeniable connection that everyone else can see but them. Nick has packed his stuff and is in a car, and he gets a TaskRabbit gig. He accepts it. James tells Peter that he gets a cute twinkle in his eyes when he's talking about Nick, and it was very evident when they were together at the play today. James tells him that he has everything that he needs here, his family and Nick, and all he needs to do is jump in. Nick reaches the TaskRabbit gig. He meets a man who tells him that he is retiring and he wants to rent out this shop. Peter gets home and searches for Nick. He doesn't find him, so he bolts to his car and heads for the airport. He sees the rental car that Nick took stop somewhere, and he stops there and finds Nick there. Peter asks Nick what he's doing there. Nick says he had to kill some time before he left. Nick tells Peter that he wants to give him a Christmas present, this shop, which he will pay the rent of for the first 6 months, so he can set up his plant shop there. Peter asks him with what money he's getting this shop. Nick tells him that it's with the book money. Peter asks him that he was saving that for a rainy day. Nick says that he was saving it for something important, and Peter is important. Peter tells Nick that he loves him. Nick asks him if he is confused, as he said he wants to move back here, and he didn't include Nick in his plans. They both kiss, and Peter asks Nick to help him set up shop, and he says he needs Nick. Nick says he'll move there, as he can work from anywhere, and he also started writing his new book. Peter asks him if he's ready for a family, and Nick says yes, and they get ready to tell Peter's family. Everyone's exchanging presents at home. Nick and Peter break the news of them moving there, and the entire family is ecstatic and cannot contain their happiness. Thank you guys for watching. I hope y'all liked the video. If you did, make sure to smash the like button and subscribe to watch many more such cool recaps. And hit the bell icon too. Bye.